Hello partners, how are you doing today? Welcome to our channel, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the virtues that we need to strive as proactive parents to instill in our children. And in case this is the first time of visiting this channel, my name is Chinepu Ore, your partner in proactively raising your children to be outstanding. I just want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel, like this video, turn on your notifications. Basically what we do here is we try to provide parents with strategies, tips and tricks, and generally hold their hands in their journey towards raising their children to be outstanding. There are a lot of mediocres out there, and sometimes parents seem to be at a loss on how to help their children become the best versions of themselves. So we help you to remove the guesswork in your parenting journey, particularly in the times that we find ourselves in, because honestly the times have changed, and what you have today is not the same as what we had growing up. So we can't afford to use the same principles, the same strategies that was used in the past. Yes, the principles will remain the same, but the strategies might not exactly be the same. So that is what we are doing here, and it will be nice if you can invite other parents or share this video with as many people as possible, because we are actually on a crusade. We want to raise a critical mass of people that are on this journey of raising 21st century children that we will be proud of. So today we're going to be looking at the virtue of self-confidence. Self-confidence is a virtue that our children need to have. Honestly, it is a big deal. We cannot trivialize the place of self-confidence, and I say it for a number of reasons. When a child is not confident in him or herself, chances of being influenced negatively is actually higher. Why? Because they don't believe in themselves, so they feel that they need another person to affirm them, they need another person to endorse them, they need to be able to measure up to other people's standards, and in the bid to do that, they might just take in anything and do whatever thing that they feel they need to do to be accepted, even if those things are not acceptable or are not in line with their values and their beliefs. So I've seen it play out so many times. If you take time to research or talk with people, particularly teenagers, you'll see that a lot of people struggle with self-confidence issues, self-esteem issues, and it makes them make some decisions that you wonder why they have made those decisions. We hear a lot about domestic violence, sexual abuse, and all that. Do you know that sometimes it has to do with lack of self-confidence? You see a girl, you see a lady that really has a lot of good qualities going on for them, but they're just waiting for one person to pay attention to them, and once the person pays attention to them, they feel that they have to pay back by doing whatever such a person has asked them to do. And you find out that they might now start compromising on their standards. Why? Because they are not confident in who they are. They don't know that they are of value. They don't value themselves, and they're looking for other people to validate them. I have been privileged to talk with a number of people who were not able to speak up. Sometimes we blame people for why did you allow the person to do this? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you act up and all that? That is because they do not know themselves. They have not seen on the journey of self-discovery, self-awareness, and all that. And alongside these are also the issues of having no confidence in who they are. They feel that they cannot stand up for themselves. Some girls give away their virginity at an early age, not because they want to, but because they want to please the next party, because they have not learned how to speak up, because they do not know who they are. They don't value themselves, So what am I saying? I'm just trying to say that helping our children develop self-confidence is key. Sometimes children miss out on opportunities that life presents to them because they are afraid. Yes, we all sometimes do things afraid, but when one is not confident, they'll pass up on opportunities that they might regret passing up on later. So what do? We need to help them. A lot of teens do not want to be in the limelight. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to express themselves. They don't want to take the bull by the horn and pursue some things. Why? Because they are so afraid. They do not believe that anything good can come out of them. They are so afraid to make mistakes. They are so afraid that when they make mistakes, people will laugh at them. There are just so many fears. There are so many insecurities playing out in their lives. They are so conscious of how they appear, what people will say and all that, and it slows them down, it limits them drastically. So this is something that we have to be very intentional about. This is something that we have to be very proactive about, because if we don't do anything about it, we'll be selling our children short. They'll be missing out on opportunities in life. They might be making decisions that will not favor them in the future. So like I said, being self-confident is about believing in oneself, and all that. So the question is, why do they grow up not to be confident in themselves, and what can we do as parents to be sure that we raise children that are confident? Now I want to start with something that I will call, I don't know the word to use, but a lot of times parents still think that they are doing their children good by shielding them, by protecting them, by not wanting them to suffer the things that the parents have suffered. So they literally take charge of the children's life. They don't allow the children to speak up for themselves. They don't allow the children to make decisions for themselves. They don't allow their children to try out new things for themselves. They don't allow the children to go anywhere or do anything on their own without the parents' influence or the parents' participation. So such parents, normally called helicopter parents, that goes beyond the scope of what we are talking about now. But such parents think that they are protecting their children. They think that they are helping their children. But in the long term, they are doing their children more harm than good, because the children will lose confidence in their ability to take decisions for themselves. They will lose confidence in their ability to do things without a third party helping them. They will not be confident to take a step, take decisions, if the parents are not there to guide them. You see parents, they come with a child and are trying to interpret the child, ask the child questions, and the parents are always trying to barge in. They're trying to speak. They feel that the child does not know what he or she wants. Yes, I know that children can make decisions that might not be the best for themselves, but what we're supposed to do as parents is to guide them. We're not supposed to take over everything and leave them without any identity, if I might put it that way. Leave them without the ability to critically think, without the ability to be able to choose, without the ability to be able to actually take decisions, take steps, take action. So the first thing I would say is that if you happen to be that kind of parent that is overprotective, you are not really helping your child. You might think you are, but you are not. So the first thing I would advise a parent to do is to loosen their grip a bit. Allow the children some bandwidth of freedom within control. Encourage them to make choices, guided choices, informed choices, and it's never too early to start. You can start from as long as when they are quite small, toddlers. How do I mean? You don't give them the leeway to make life-threatening decisions or choices without guidance. But you can ask a toddler, for example, whether the child prefers a blue or a green shirt. They can choose their colors. So within a limited ambit, let them make their choices. Probably if you're about to go out and ask the child to pick out an attire, the child might go and pick out an attire that is not appropriate for the occasion, because they are still quite young and they do not understand some of these principles. So for those toddlers, within an ambit, you could bring out 2 or 3 outfits and ask them to make a choice. Allowing them make that choice gives them a sense of ownership, helps them to come into themselves, helps them to believe in themselves and feel that they have something that they are contributing. And that's the thing you keep on doing and build on it over time. So I'm not saying, for example, that you come and ask your 10-year-old child to choose the secondary school he or she will go to. On what basis? They might not know the criteria to make that choice. But what I'm saying is that at every point in time, there are limited ambits within which they can make their decisions. Your own responsibility as the parent is to guide them so they can make informed decisions. So for example, you tell them, okay, these are the consequences if you take this decision, this will happen, and then allow them to think through the process and make their choices. So but when their choices are not in line, you can now call them back and show them why the choices that they have made is not the best decision. So what am I saying? Start now to give your children opportunities to make choices, to think for themselves, to understand the process of thinking, not irrationally but rationally, based on available evidence and all that. So that is number one. If you want to raise a child that is confident, allow the child to make choices. The second thing I would say is that we should be careful with how we criticize our children. People will always fail. People will make mistakes. And I want to ask you a question. Are you as hard on yourself when you make a mistake as you are hard on your children when they make mistakes? Or are you as hard on other people when they make mistakes the way you are hard on your children? You find out that sometimes that we always cut ourselves some slack. When we make mistakes, like every human being does, we try to cut ourselves some slack because we understand why we made those mistakes. Even though when we miss it, we cut ourselves some slack. So why don't we cut our children some slack? When you criticize your child, when your child makes a mistake, yes, you correct the child and get the child to learn the lesson from the error. For some things, they're not mistakes, but the child actually deviated from what they're supposed to do. Apply consequences. By all means, do discipline them, but do not criticize them. Separate their action from who they are. If they make genuine mistakes and you criticize them and you go on and on about it, they will be so afraid to try stuff because they do not want to fail. So dear parents, resist the urge to criticize your children. Resist the urge to compare them with others. Resist the urge to put them down or make them feel less than they are. Please, it erodes their confidence a great deal. Another thing we need to do is that we need to celebrate their strengths. I'm not saying that you should overpraise the children. There's a way you can overpraise a child and the child becomes entitled. There's a way you can overpraise a child and the child feels that he is everything there is. Celebrate your children's strengths, but don't overpraise them. And I always say it is important that we celebrate more of their effort than you celebrate outcomes. For example, I tell my children, if I know that you have put in your very best in a particular task and the outcome is not as we want it to be, of course, we will be disappointed, but I will celebrate the effort you have put in. It's only when you don't put in the effort that it calls for correction. So let's learn to celebrate their efforts, because when they fail, they are already discouraged. When something doesn't go right, they're already discouraged. They don't, try to push it down, shove it down their throats and all that. Celebrate them. If there's something that they have done well, celebrate it, because it's important that they learn about trying. They learn from their failures. They learn to put in the effort. They learn to put in the work. It gives them a sense of fulfillment, a sense of achievement that will ultimately lead to having a sense of confidence in who they are and what their capabilities are. So dear parents, do not be tempted to overemphasize their strength, their weaknesses, and downplay their strengths. Rather, let it be the other way. Celebrate their strengths. Another thing I would say is that you should also encourage your children to pursue their interests. A lot of times we as parents, we are very quick to say that, what does this one know? How can you just decide that you want to be a singer or you want to be a footballer? Do you know that sometimes in the course of encouraging them along their interests, they will be the ones that will decide that they don't even want to do that thing anymore. That is if it's not going to have a headway. And on the other hand, those interests might be what it is that will make them to stand out in the future. So we need to have that balance. We have to encourage them along the line of interest. If your child likes drawing, please encourage the child to draw. If your child likes singing, encourage your child to sing. Provide the support. It does a whole lot for their confidence level. It also helps them to stay motivated, because there's an excitement that comes from engaging in activities that you enjoy. And then it can be a trade-off. You're allowing them to do the things that they enjoy, as long as it's not detrimental to them in any way. And then there can be like it's more or less like a deal, but like a trade-off. So I'm allowing you to do this, I'm encouraging you along this line, but you cannot allow this other thing to suffer while you're at it. Probably, for example, their academics, or maybe their spiritual life or something. Just encourage them along their interests. Don't try to shoot down their interests, because if you make them look like they don't know what they are doing and all that, it has a way of destroying their confidence level. So let us learn to encourage them along their interests. Then I also want to say another thing. You need to help them to see themselves the way God sees them. And this they can do by finding out what the scriptures say about who they are. What does God say about them? The Bible says that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. They are made in God's image and likeness. A lot of people allow the world to define them, and because of that, they feel that they are falling short. They feel that they don't measure up. But what do we do as parents? We need to help them. We need to help them have their identity in Christ. If there is an identity crisis, there will be insecurities. It's not just about how they appear, but about who they are. So encourage them to find out from scripture who God has said they are. Let them use this to come up with their affirmations, and let them keep on telling themselves who they are, what their strengths are. Let them encourage themselves with these affirmations, and you see that the more they say these affirmations to themselves, the more they believe what they are saying, and the more it helps them to build their confidence. And then finally, I don't want this video to get too long. Another thing I want to say is that you create opportunities and platforms for them to try, opportunities for them to try new things. Yes, encourage them to take on challenges and do things even if they are afraid. When they confront their fears, you find out they come out better and more confident. But if you just allow them, she doesn't like talking in front of people, she doesn't like doing this one, I keep on encouraging them to hide, they will never overcome those fears. So what do? Gradually desensitize them from the fear. Don't say, okay, because they are afraid of this, then they shouldn't even go near. But don't force it on them, but gradually, desensitize them from their fears. For example, if they are afraid of speaking in front of a crowd, you can start first of all by encouraging them to maybe doing your home devotions. You get them to speak in smaller groups. You get them to speak gradually as they were able to surmount these challenges, if I can put it that way. They are bold and they are more confident to try other things. Provide the platform for them. Your child is learning to swim, or your child is afraid of water. Start gradually to desensitize them. If they are afraid of heights, whatever it is, start gradually to desensitize them, but create the platform for them to express themselves in such a way that they are able to confront their fears and build confidence in that process. This, of course, does not does not cover everything that you can do to help your children with their self-confidence, but I don't want this video to get any longer. But finally, I always say this: model self-confidence. Show that you also are a confident parent. Try not to shy away from things that you're not so comfortable with. You need to come out from your comfort zone sometimes, not just for the sake of it, but when it is necessary. They are also watching you. You can't tell a child not to do something and you are doing it. Be the role model for them. I don't know what you have learned, but I want to hear from you in the comment section what stood out for you in this video. Thank you so much. This brings us to the end of this session. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and let's another proactive parent hear what we are saying today. Thank you. Till next time. Bye.